Do I say what I really mean or do I say what people want me to say?
You literally created your own success story.
Yeah. I want to do that. I want to make people feel like that about me.
You wanted to do something that made people feel alive. What's a truth you suspect is real, but you can't fully prove it yet?
God?
In my hand is a deck of cards. On each card is a single question. In just a moment, my guest and I are going to create a conversation that revolves around one of the cards from this deck. And right now, neither of us knows what that card is because it's going to be determined by a game of chance. This is part interview, part improvisation. It's an exercise in what I call conversational jazz. This is TK Coleman, and you're watching One Question. Mr. PK.
What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, man.
Usually they say this at the end of the conversation, but I love you, man.
I love you too, brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes, indeed.
Yeah, man, what I'm hoping for today, well, let me just tell you what I'm hoping for with this show. My vision is to teach people how to expand their own sense of possibility and how to deepen their connection with others through the power of curiosity. I think we all have a story to tell. We all have interesting things about us. An ordinary conversation usually doesn't give us the opportunity to let these things out. And I'm hoping that this show can do that and that I can get to know a different side of you, even though we've known each other for many years, and that my audience can get to know a side of you that you might not typically talk about.
Yeah.
So let me talk to you a little bit about the deck, because the deck is one of the ways of, or the main way rather, of getting to that goal. When I first came up with questions for this show, I was completely unhappy with them. I thought they were all just way too serious. They were all way too one-dimensional. And so I kept working at it, and I decided that I wanted to have a variety of question types represented. And so I created basically 5 subdecks. So I've got a total of 50 cards, 5 subdecks or question categories, each with 10 cards in them. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have you pick up one subdeck at a time and just give it a little light shuffle. And then I'll have you draw one card and just sit it in front of you. And as you pick up each deck, I'll explain to you a little bit what that deck is about. So why don't you start here and just give me a little shuffle. So Agree to Disagree is a deck where I'm just gonna state like a common piece of advice or a cliche, a proverb, whatever it may be, and you're gonna tell me if you agree or disagree with what you hear. What would you do? These are hypothetical questions. I'll put you in a scenario and you tell me what you would choose in the conditions that I describe. Big ideas, these are more, hey man, get to shuffling.
All right.
Big.
My bad. I'm sitting over here nervous as hell. I'm like, damn, do I say what I really mean or do I say what people want me to say? Like, what do I do here? How truthful to myself should I be in this?
These are just kind of questions about your worldview, your life philosophy, so to speak. And by the way, man, to comfort you, all of these questions can be answered from many different vantage points. There's nothing here that you should be afraid of, but you'll see. Oddities and quirks. This is a category about like personal favorites and idiosyncrasies, things like that, things that make you unique. We'll have some fun with that one.
Oddities.
You knew that word, right? You're the vocabulary man.
I learned from you.
You didn't know oddities?
I didn't know oddities.
Interesting. I'm surprised. Okay, how to be human. These are questions about relationships and the skills and perspectives that are required to navigate the complexity of living with one another, relating to one another. All right, so I'm gonna have you draw a card from each deck and just put it in front of you like so. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip over each card one by one. And I'm gonna read to you the question and you'll tell me your first answer that comes to your mind. No nuance, no explanation, no philosophical defense for it. Just tell me what you think, brother, and we'll go from there. When do you feel most connected to other people?
When I am around them.
Would your 12-year-old self think that you're cool?
Yes.
What's a truth you suspect is real, but you can't fully prove it yet?
God?
Okay, hypothetical scenario for you. You're offered a pill. It's called the dream pill. If you take it before you sleep, you will have the best sleep of your life. It'll be perfect sleep, completely undisturbed. You'll have the most amazing, realistic, pleasant dreams you've ever imagined. When you wake up, you will feel completely rested. If you have any injuries, illness, ailments, they will be completely healed each night when you go to sleep. And you'll be fresh and you'll like have no brain fog throughout the day. But there's one catch. The trade-off for using this pill is that you must be asleep for 10 straight hours and you cannot wake up. So no matter what goes on in the world around you, once you take that pill and fall asleep, you're knocked out for 10 hours, period. Would you take the pill?
Yes.
Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Nice guys finish last.
No.
No, as in?
No, I don't agree that, no, I do not agree that nice guys finish last.
Okay, man. So I'm going to have you look me in the eyes. And I just want you to pick one of these cards. Any one of them, man. That's going to be our central question. There's a lot at stake here. Okay.
Dang it!
The big ideas card.
That's not the one I wanted.
What's a truth you suspect is real but can't fully prove yet? It's not the one you wanted, but it's the one that the deck chose. So it's the one that's right for you.
Dang.
We're going to put it down. That's what we'll call our central card.
Oh, God.
The central card is the card around which our conversation revolves. This will be our takeoff point. This will be our landing point. Everything else we talk about will connect it to this in some kind of way.
And am I betrothed to what my initial quick answer of this was?
There it is. Betrothed. I was waiting for the vocabulary, man. Listen, I've watched you on so many podcasts. And you have if there was like a word per minute average, you drop like 5 huge vocabulary words per minute.
I haven't spoken yet, really.
Yeah, but you reacted to oddities like I was somehow way over your head.
Because I'm so fascinated with words that I don't know, because I'm fascinated with words. So when there's a word that I don't know, unlike other people who just like slide past that, I will not be able to focus on the rest of the conversation because my brain will be trying to log oddities in my head. So when I leave, I can go to my ChatGPT and ask her, what does oddities mean? So now I can have oddities. So I would rather just ask up front. So now I can continue paying attention.
Otherwise, you'd be thinking about it the whole time.
I'm thinking about it like, damn, what's oddities? Oh, what'd you say?
Do you have a hard time when you learn a new word? Do you have a hard time like using it in a sentence? Because that's so much more difficult. Immediately.
As soon as I learn a word, I immediately try to use it in casual conversations.
Wow.
So like if you look a lot of times like in our group chat, if I say something like random, it's because I probably just learned that word and I want to say it. I want to use it, or I want to troll Larry or something. And see if he's going to like say something about it. So I immediately want to use it because listen, I feel like anything that you learn, if you don't put it to access, then it's almost like you didn't learn it, because you have to actually use things that you learn so that they stay there. Because say for instance, you teach me a word that I didn't have before, and I'm like, oh, I learned that word, but then I don't use it, I don't write it down. 2 weeks from now, I won't remember what that word was.
Right.
So why did I even learn it?
Yeah. And so by using it, you become betrothed to the word.
Yes. It's almost like writing it down so you can visualize it and see the spelling of it. And now there's something specific in your mind and your brain. Like even if you forgot the pronunciation of the word, you can remember the letters and how you spell it, and then that can help you remember what the word was. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I kind of feel that way about insight. You know, you can listen to podcasts, read books, and pick up on a bunch of ideas, a bunch of formulas and prescriptions. But if you're not using any of that, you're just kind of like suffering from, information gluttony, and it doesn't mean anything. You might feel smart, you might feel informed, you might even kind of create the illusion that you're moving towards success, but like it's the ideas that you use that become a part of you, and that really means something to you.
Yeah.
So how you feel about words, I feel the same. Okay, so that's our central card, and these lightning round cards, I'm gonna bring these back, and they're gonna play a role too. So we'll just arrange them like this. One to the left, one to the right, one above it, one below it. And we'll call these our connection cards. Now, this might comfort you since you're so afraid to talk about your answer to this. These connection cards are conversational breaks we can take from the central card, mix up the energy a little bit, spice it up a little bit. But also, when I ask you about the answers you gave to the connection cards, I'm going to try to connect that to what we've been talking about with our central card. And one of the reasons why is because I believe that the purpose of conversation is that we can connect to one another. And part of connecting to one another is listening to each other in a way that allows us to discover interesting things about that person based on what they say. And so that's going to be part of what I try to do here. Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know why, while you're speaking, first of all, so that you understand why I feel like you're a magician. The way that you handle stuff, when you precisely press these cards out, you're moving like all of this stuff looks like when I'm watching America's Got Talent and I'm seeing the way that they're so delicate with how they're doing things. So that's for one. For two, I'm also like honing back on that card that I know I didn't want to be my central card, right? And I'm like, what if after this conversation, I leave here with some enlightened epiphany that I never thought that I was going to get or whatever. And then you become that guy and you do that to everyone that you have these conversations with. You go into their psychosis and pull out something that they had no idea that was about to go on. And you're the guy. And right now, that's your poster. Like that's the poster right there with your fingers just on. That shot right there is
I get to have a setup like what's the Mr. Magigorium Wonder Emporium, where they have like the little, wait, is that the one? Oh man, I think that's the movie where they have the little thing in like the circus arena. Come into here and play the magic.
Yeah.
You will leave with an epiphany.
Yeah, you become that guy. And everyone wants to come to you just because they want to like be enlightened about themselves.
Well, you gotta help me find like a good magician's costume.
This is it. You got it. You're already wearing it.
You've already succeeded, man. Okay, let's talk about our central card. The thing that jumps out to me the most is not your answer, but it's the fact that you don't want to talk about this card. What's so scary? I mean, I think the idea that, hey, there's probably some kind of higher power that looks out for us, and I don't think I can prove it. That's a very common idea. Mm-hmm. You're probably on the side of the majority with that answer.
Yeah.
I don't think there are a lot of people walking around thinking like, oh, I have an undefeatable scientific proof for God's existence that will convince anybody. I don't think there are a whole lot of people out there like that. So what is it about that common, uncontroversial answer that makes you say, I don't want to talk about it?
Well, it's because, for one, dealing with anything like religious or political, like, is divisive, for one.
Yeah.
So I steer clear of talking about those things because you can't win. Like, both sides are willing to attack you. So if I was a comic or whatever, I would just stay away from those topics. But this particular topic is not something that I was raised to feel. This is something that over time I've gained this awareness that I feel this way now. And so because it's something that is new to me, I'm like, like, am I in a position to fully talk about why I feel this way? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but you're talking to like the God spiritual guru here. So this might be tough.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
I felt like that.
Yeah. I know what you mean. There's something about having conversations in public that makes you feel as if there's a lot more at stake than just expressing an opinion in private, right? In private, you can say, yeah, this is how I feel about it. Or you can watch something and say, yeah, I think that person's wrong. But when you say it in public, people are watching you. They'll hold you accountable for that. They might see you in that way. And like what you said, with religion and politics, no matter what side of things you come down on, half the world is immediately going to hate you because of your answer. Yeah. I think part of what's important to me with this show is that I create a context where even when it comes to ideas that we think are very important and that we think people are gravely wrong about, that we still learn to see curiosity as the solution to that problem. You know, maybe it is the case that the way someone thinks about a particular topic should make us uncomfortable, but how do we really grapple with that? How do we really deal with that if we can't first be charitable enough to say, hey, before I judge you about the perceived wrongness or rightness of your opinion, I just want to know how it feels to have that belief, what value that adds to your life. Have you always thought that way? You know, when did you begin thinking that way? Why does that make sense to you? And I think if we can just kind of create more spaces where we can be human and like have at least a few minutes of charity before we start saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I think we can make a lot of progress in that respect.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. All right.
So you said you weren't raised to feel this way. What were you raised to feel?
I was raised like all the other black kids in the inner city, like that the same thing that we've been indoctrinated for our whole lives and our parents' whole lives and their parents' whole lives, that, you know, there's God, there's Jesus, you know. Sometimes you have the Holy Trinity, but I don't know if that was like a specific thing for us, but like God is real, religion is real, Christianity is the thing that we study.
Yeah.
And that's how I saw things. Now, it got a little confusing when I got to high school, and one of my friends was a Jehovah's Witness, and he asked me to come to the Kingdom Hall one time, and I went there, and I enjoyed myself, and I started studying like the witnesses.
Yeah.
And for the whole 9th grade year and part of the 10th grade year, I started feeling like I was a witness, right? And so it was a little different, but it still was all wrapped around the same ideology. And I kept that for the majority of my life because it was just something like, you know, if someone teaches you the way you brush your teeth, that's just how you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so growing up, you believe what you were taught, like I think most of us.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, there's a creator, and it's kind of like, you know, this is the name, this is the religious context. And as you got older and you're exposed to more things, how does that begin to change?
Well, you know, I don't know the exact point that it changed. I do have a memory of someone who said something, and then I was like, I think I believe that, but I didn't say it out loud. So I saw Morgan Freeman on maybe Jay Leno or David Letterman, one of those shows, and he said he doesn't necessarily believe in heaven or hell or God, or he was like, what if when we die, we just die? Like everything else that dies, you just die and that's it. It's just darkness. It's just black. And I said, that seems logical to me. Mm-hmm. And then I start to like think about all of the stuff that I've been taught about when you die and about heaven and hell. And it just didn't make logical sense to me. It didn't make sense that when you die, immediately a spirit that you can't see floats out of your body and then goes to one of the places.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense to me. So I'm like, okay, this is what I was taught. And then what is heaven? What is hell exactly? How do we substantiate the so I start having these questions, and those questions turned into a reality that who made this book, and how come all of those amazing magical tricks that were happening back then, why do they never show themselves in this way now? And I figured, I think the Bible is something that was man created to help us prevent from having anarchy. I felt like religion and all of these things that they told us that we have to do are just things that were created to keep us from just mass murder, or whatever you want to do. If you feel like there is a higher power that's out there. And so I said, okay, I think that's smart. I think even if it's not real, I think it's smart to tell us this to keep some type of,
Oh, I see. So maintaining the belief in God as a kind of practical way to maintain order and civilization. So at this stage, you're saying, okay, that makes sense to me. This is what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, now I made a conscious decision to choose to want God in my life. So the religious aspect, I can disavow. The church itself, the Bible, I can disavow. But the God aspect, I'm keeping because I want to, because I don't want to go through a world where I don't have something that is a higher power than me, that is looking over me and taking care of me. I saw during the times of the fires, there was a lot of videos showing up with all of these fires. And there was this one girl, she was in her car and she was driving through the canyons, and she went into a tunnel, right? Like, how sometimes they're like, so she went went through this tunnel, and in this tunnel, all I could see is like smoke through her windshield, because she's filming herself while she's driving, and she's crying and she's praying to God. And then once she gets out of this tunnel, all I see is redness. I see redness. I see the fire on the hills that are on the side of her. I see the fire things and all of the detritus that's all on the ground that's on fire. I hear the particles falling on top of the roof of her car and making the noise like they are burning through, and I'm watching them fall on her hood and seeing it start to burn through the car. And she's like, God, please help me. And I was like, how terrifying must it be to go through that? And what if you didn't have anybody to pray through? What if you were an atheist and you didn't believe in God at all, and now you're just left to your own devices to try to manage something that you are implicit to? Like, I think that would be like just harrowing. So I choose to have a personal relationship with God because I want it, not necessarily because I think it is an actual real thing. Even though to me, I'm making it real for myself. But logically, if I die and I just die and go to darkness, that wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I guess we can make a distinction between, like knowing that something is true and showing that it's true. Like if I have a headache, I can feel the sensation of pain in my head. But if you say, prove it to me that you have a headache, I don't know what I could do. I could say, listen, man, trust me, take my word for it. My head really hurts. And you say, yeah, but I think you're putting on an act. And then I reach for a bottle of Tylenol. I say, you see how I got this bottle of Tylenol here? You just saw me take a couple of them 10 minutes ago. And you could say, yeah, but that's because you're just committed to the act. And I say, look, man, there's nothing I can do to prove to you that I'm having the subjective experience I claim to have. But that doesn't mean my inability to prove it to you means I can't be true to what I know for myself. But it also means I should be gracious to you, that if you don't experience what I experience, maybe there's room for me to say, hey man, I can see why you would doubt. when I say I have a headache. I
Yeah.
could totally get why you would doubt that. I'm just telling you that I have a headache and I've got to go on what I experience. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this idea of like, there are some things you know for yourself, you believe for yourself, and you can't prove it to other people. I find this kind of like thematic in your life in a way that's bigger than religion. I remember an early conversation we had years ago when you first said you want to be an actor, or you didn't say you want to be an actor. You said you've always identified as that and said, this is what you're going to go do. And I remember saying, you know, presenting all these scenarios like, yeah, but what if you don't make it, man? And like, what if, you know, what if you fail? Or what if you go out there and this or that happens? And I specifically remember you saying, that makes no sense to me. I don't even know what that means. And I was like, it's very logical what I mean. What I mean is, what if you go try to become an actor and you fail? Nobody puts you in any movies. That's what I mean. Surely you can imagine that. You're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't think that way. I can't afford to think that way. I'm going to go do what I say I'm going to do, and that's just going to be it. And you did it. And I've referenced that conversation to many people because I've always valued your faith in that way. I've always valued this capacity that you have to just say, I'm just going to go make this happen, you know. And I know you've got questions that I can't answer, and I know that I can't prove to you that I'm going to be okay, but this is just what it's going to be. I always remember that, man. Do you remember that?
I don't specifically remember saying that, but listening to you say it seems like that would be my response. That would be the way that I walk through life. Mm-hmm. I think that, you know, throughout my life, I've been inured to have that type of belief in myself.
Yeah.
And what I have been placed on this earth to do. I felt like it was my destiny to be that way. So that is consistent with how I would imagine that I will respond. Because when I was maybe in high school, early on in high school, I used to make myself go to sleep, I would start my dream off by coming to LA. And that's how I would start to try and fall asleep, is me coming to LA. Every time I start this dream off, I'm flying in the plane, I'm landing. Soon as I land and I get off the plane, there's someone that's like, I want to make you a star. They look at me and they just see stardom on me. And that's what they say to me. I'm going to make you a movie star. That's what they say to me every time in a dream. Now, as I got older in high school, I start to say, I don't know if someone asked me or if I just thought this myself. Well, what if that doesn't happen? What if when you get off the plane, that doesn't happen and you got to get a job? You have to, where are you going to sleep? Where are you going to stay? All the logical questions start coming to my brain, and I just immediately squelch all of that and say, I'm not worried about that. That's not going to be my story. When I get off the plane, I'm going to be a star. And subsequently, because I had that like imagination and that dream, that's tangentially what happened. You know, I got my first job a month after I got here with no agent, with no anything. I just indiscriminately got this audition from someone that I knew, and I had Casey drive me to the Sony studios, and I snuck into the audition and got this part.
Wait. First you said you bought the bottle of beer. No. You know you messed up, right? First you said you got an audition and your friend Casey took you to the audition. Then you said you snuck in.
Yes.
You know you done messed up, right? No, I'm just kidding. So this was somebody else's audition.
No, I had done the Idaho Shakespeare Festival prior to coming to LA.
Right.
And when I was there, ultimately my end goal was to come here, and I would tell the actors there. Right. And one of the actors was an LA actor, and he said, if you ever come to LA, look me up. So I looked him up, and I had lunch with him, And he said, yeah, I'll let you know if I see anything. Now, he used to get the breakdowns of what the casting directors use to send people out. So he would get those. And he said, hey, man, there's an audition for a show called The Kennedys. And I was like, what?
Wow.
and he was like, they're looking for an aspiring DJ. And I was like, okay. And he said, apparently they've been looking for this role for a long time. They can't find it. It's a CBS pilot starring Randy Quaid and Pamela Reed. Yeah. And you should go out for it. I didn't even know what a pilot was. I thought a pilot was the person who flies the plane. And so I had no clue about any of this stuff. And he said, yeah, you should, the auditions at Sony Studios, yeah, you go crash the audition.
What does it mean to crash an audition?
Like show up to an audition that is not there for you. You weren't invited to come there. Okay. Like auditions are not just for anybody walking on the street. Like you got to have an agent, and the agent submits you, and then they have to say, okay, we will like to see this person. I didn't have any of that. So I didn't know what was going on. So I said, how am I supposed to do this? I don't have no car. I just moved to LA. I don't even know where Sony Studios is. And he said, tell him you're a courier. Once again, I didn't know what a courier was. So I'm like, huh? He said, tell him you're making a delivery, because people come and they deliver things to these offices all the time. And I said, okay. And then my boy Casey, who also was an actor who was in town for pilot season at that time, I told him about this because there was a part in there that he could audition for as well. So he drove me there because I didn't have a car. He drove me there, and I was in the passenger seat, and this is pre 9/11. This would never happen right now. And we got to the lot. I'm in the passenger seat. And once we get to the security gate, I say, oh yeah, I'm Paige Kennedy making a delivery to Deborah Barilski. Why would a courier need a driver? I have no idea, because they're the driver, but they let me on, and I went in there and I presented my headshot and resume, and they saw that there was no agent connected to it and asked, am I representing myself? And I said, yeah. And they basically just shunned it off. But a week later, me and Casey both got a call from the casting director saying, come in, we want you to audition.
No way.
Yeah.
The Kennedys.
And, I went through the audition process. I got a call back, and then I went to test. And I remember driving to the test and specifically calling you and having you pray on the phone with me that I get this job. And you did a prayer with me while I'm driving there, and I booked the job.
Hey, so for anybody that you worried about hating on you for the earlier piece about the religion, hey, the brother called me and said, pray for me. Come on.
Hey, it was his prayer that got me popping. So I'm just letting y'all know, you know what I'm saying? Right here, the magician, you know what I mean? He got, you know what I mean? That's what he was doing.
Your faith, man. You believed. You always carried yourself with that sense of like, I'm gonna go do it, and you went and did it. And what's interesting is you didn't follow like anybody else's success story, right?
Right.
You literally created your own success story.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't come out here with the idea of I'm gonna go to an audition where I don't have an agent. I'm gonna pretend to be a courier. You didn't even know what that was at the time. Yeah. But you got the pieces to your puzzle like bit by bit, little by little.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Let's take a look at one of our connection cards. I was very curious about the dream pill and your answer to that. Tell me why.
Well, because I figured that if, I have all of these like amazing amenities that will come with taking this pill and this sleep, that I can carve out a 10-hour frame where I'm just offline, Now, in my real life, that doesn't happen. As you can attest, I am available at all times of the night. So if you are in London and you text in the group chat, no matter what time it is, I am going to respond like first, because I don't know, like unless my girl is there on the weekends, I put my phone on vibrate then so it don't disturb her. But like on my own, I don't know if it's because I have kids or because I don't know what it is that I keep my phone available. And so if I hear the chime, it will wake me up and I will respond to it. So I felt like if I had this beautiful, situation that I could have, okay, I can carve out 10 hours to go away so that it's beneficial to me when I wake up. I thought about it for a second because I'm like, well, what if there's an earthquake? What if an emergency happens and someone needs you and you are offline and they can't get you up or wake you up? And I was like, well, how often does that happen? So that's why I chose that.
Yeah. So one immediate connection I see here is when you thought about the dream pill scenario, you saw the benefits and how taking the dream pill could place you where you wanted to be. And you thought about the risk. What if there's an earthquake, or like, what if the house is on fire, whatever. And those risks are real things, but you trusted in your ability to just figure it out or get through it. The benefits outweigh the risk so strongly for me that I'll figure it out. I'll find a space and a time to sleep so I can sort of mitigate those risks. Mm-hmm. And in our central card, there are a few things where that came up. I mean, obviously with how you established yourself as an actor. Yeah. You had the vision. This is where I want to go with my life. I know there are all sorts of risk, but I'll figure it out. I'm going to try my best to position myself in a way that gives me access to what I want, and I'll answer the questions as they come up. And even in terms of like your faith, there are some people who are antagonistic about certain ideas, and there are others who are just honest about what they don't know. Yeah. And when it comes to religion, you say, look, man, I'm not here to fight anybody about their religious beliefs. I'm not here to make anybody feel bad, but I'm just going to be honest with myself about what I don't know. I can't prove any of this. Mm-hmm. I'm not the guy to come to for theological answers, but I know the kind of person that I want to be. And I know that having faith in some higher power that helps me maintain order in my life is something that works. And so I'll figure out the rest on the go, Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Coming back to the central card. Why do you think we have such a hard time talking about things that we can't prove?
I think it's because we want to sound intelligent. I mean, for me, the last thing I want is to pontificate about a subject that I have no probative information to give, because then I'm just saying stuff. And when I watch people that are just saying stuff, it's nugatory, obviously. Like, is no point of even listening to them, and then you start to judge them. And what if it's just this particular subject that they have no information on? Right. Well, I automatically be like, oh, they stupid. So I don't want to do that. So I want to talk about things that I feel like, even if what if I don't have the probative information, but at least I have a stance on it that has fervor behind it, so that I can speak to that. I can speak to my passion on something, even if I don't know if it's exactly right or not.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the ways in which I think social media has changed the game for us that maybe pre-internet generations didn't quite experience is the pressure to always have a take. There was a time in human history where you could be incredibly uninformed about a vast number of things, and no one's going to be asking your opinion on it anyway. Right. And you don't have to go to a Facebook or an Instagram or a TikTok and let the world know where you stand, let the world know that you're on the right side of this topic. And today we have this constant pressure to have a take,
Yeah.
or to be prepared for somebody that comes up to us and say, hey, what do you think about it? And I see a lot of good in that, but one of the things that it sort of eats away at is our comfort with uncertainty, our comfort saying, you know what, I don't know where I stand on that. I'm still wrestling with the ideas. I'm still processing, and some good points are made on this side, some good points are made for that, and I just don't know yet.
Right. Or I'm apathetic and I don't care.
Yeah.
Like this does not move me in a way to even care about having this opinion on it. But with the advent of social media, it almost forces you to, say how you feel about it because it's plastered right in your face, and everyone's doing it. Or you feel fomented to do so based off of comments that might cause ire for you that you see, and now you have to, I had to tell them that they're wrong.
Yeah.
It foments us to make us have to engage.
And man, it's funny how quickly we assimilate information about what we're supposed to know and have a take on. So last year, I got off social media for almost a year. And when I got back on, it was right at the time that the whole Coldplay concert thing was happening. The couple that was there. I kid you not, Paige, I hadn't watched the video of it. I hadn't read an article on it. I had just got back online. And just in the sheer effort of scrolling for maybe 2 minutes, I somehow had assimilated all this knowledge of what the situation was and what I was supposed to feel. Now, Josh, who was my co-host for the Minimalist, he actually was not, he hadn't gotten on social media. And so I go to him and I say, hey man, you heard about the Coldplay thing? He was like, no. He said, well, what's the Coldplay thing? I'm like, the couple that went to the concert, and what happened is there was the kiss cam that was going all around, and I'm breaking down the whole thing to him. And he's completely clueless about all of this. And 3 minutes in, I go, oh, they got me. They got me. I've been off social media for a year, and somehow my gifts, my resources, my abilities, my cognitive processes are being used on this.
Yeah.
And I'm telling him how he should feel about it and what the take should be. And it's not that I need to feel guilty about that and say that that's wrong, but it's so important to realize that this is the kind of world we're in right now, the pressure to have a take. And we got to remind ourselves like, hey, maybe I got the permission to not have a take. Or maybe I got the permission to not know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a look at this other connection card here. Would your 12-year-old self think you were cool? You said yes with such confidence.
Yeah.
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 Tell me about your 12-year-old self. Like, who were the heroes of your 12-year-old self, and how was your life akin to that?
12-year-old self is 8th grade. I'm in middle school, and at that time, I love Michael Jackson. I love West Coast hip hop. Like, I'm like into that, like NWA and like Eazy and Ice Cube, that whole world. I'm like fascinated by Los Angeles gang culture and how they get down in their music. Mm-hmm. And I'm rapping. I'm about to go to high school soon. I think I'm playing chess at that time. And so I just feel like because I'm like immersed into the world of entertainment at that point, and now I'm like in the coming of age like era where I'm finding myself and who I am, and I always wanted to probably be rich and famous, and so the fact that I have some level of achieving that, I would think that, my 12-year-old self would be like, oh yeah, that I want to be like him when I grow up. Yeah.
And you went out and you did that. You did all that.
Yeah.
So you knew at a really young age that the music business, the acting business, that's where you wanted to make your world.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I found that out immediately. Like when I got to Detroit from here when I was 6, and I probably found Michael Jackson like around 6, 7 years old, uh, and he is the person that took like I my mind was just blown by him, and I became like a stalwart to like love, appreciate, and want to be like that. When I would watch him make people faint and get taken out on gurneys, and sometimes I even heard die just because he's standing on the stage, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to make people feel like that about me.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want, and so that's when I got into trying to be like Michael Jackson, dance, sing. That turned into me starting to rap, and then I was precocious, like probably at the age 7, 8 years old. Um, Unfortunately, I wasn't wonderkin like Michael Jackson, where I had this level of fame
Right.
from being young, but I still had the talent and the fervor to entertain, and I knew that I wanted to do that for the rest of my life.
I had a friend tell me this story. I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, about John Coltrane and how when he finished composing Love Supreme, he basically said, "I can die now. I can die now." And it wasn't so much that the music had killed him, but that the music had made him feel so fully alive that he felt like I came here to experience what I came here to experience. Like I have lived. And when I hear you tell your story about how Michael Jackson impacted you, it sounds like you wanted to do something that made people feel alive.
Yeah.
You wanted to act and perform in such a way that when a person saw you, they say, "Man, I've lived."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of apocryphal, I feel like maybe my idea of what that was apocryphal. Like maybe these people didn't die. Maybe they maybe it was all like because it happened, because one person did it. You know how we can make ourselves like, we can trick ourselves to do whatever. So like maybe they were more open to that just because that's like the decorum of what it's supposed to be. But for me, it was reality. It wasn't like, something that looks like it's true but may not be true. It was like what it was. And so yeah, I looked at it that way.
Yeah, so we got a lot of mics in common.
Yeah.
Those Biggie say, Tyson,
Yeah.
Jordan,
Jackson.
anyone.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite, being from Chicago, one of my favorite Jordan myths, if you will, is that in order to motivate himself, he would often make up these stories that would allow him to take something personal and then go out on a court and really, so he would get in his mind that, oh, this coach thinks I'm too old to compete.
Yeah.
Or, this person said this about me. And like some of those stories just may not be true.
Right.
But he used it to his advantage.
Yeah. Like he even like being out to dinner with somebody and they like he will find it. Yeah.
So I see a connection with what you said here in this card, because it comes back to the power of myth, the power of narrative. What is the narrative that drives us in a way that brings out the best in us? And what you've talked about here is that, look, when I remember my childhood and all these experiences, maybe they were true, maybe they were not. But again, I can't prove it.
Yeah.
But what I know is there's a way I can relate myself to the story and to the ideas conveyed by the story that make me a better human being. Yeah. We got 2 more connection cards I want to move through here. I'm going to save that one for last. Nice guys finished last. You said you disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you disagree with that?
Obama was president. You know, there's so many examples of being a good person can work for you.
Mm.
You know, there's so many examples of guys that mean well, who are genuinely good people, who are philanthropic, who are amazing people, that they can receive blessings. Um so I mean, but there's always going to be, like, you can give examples on each side. You know, you can you can also say there's also Trump. He also was president. You know, so that
But I don't
is
even think
the
he would say he's nice, right? Like,
no. But that's what I'm saying. Like, being like the bad
oh, I
guy.
see what you're
You
saying. Yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
bad guy also can finish.
Yeah.
You know, so there's on both sides, but when I hear nice guys finish last, it always like reminds me of like a girl situation, you know, like the girl doesn't want the night. And listen, there's something to that, you know, because I had someone in my family who wanted a certain ideal for herself. She wanted a certain type of husband. She wanted a certain look, a certain life, you know, and then she got that. But then that began to bore her. And then she felt like she was missing out on some of the other things that she was seeing, like in the from the internet, from the zeitgeist. You know, she felt like, oh, okay, this is so stale to me now. The banality of being married and stuck in the same place. I want more for myself. I want, you know, all that life has to offer. And then, you know, so do you give up this thing that you think that you wanted so badly
Mm.
for something that you don't even know if you can attain? And then what if you do get that? Is that going to be true happiness to you? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't necessarily feel like nice guys finish last. It just sometimes, like, when it comes to relationships, like girl wise, you know, sometimes for them maybe it's more exciting to have the bad boy or whatever. But I guess that just depends on the individual you are, because there are so many women who go after guys that they know they shouldn't like or want, but they just do. And I don't know if it's just because we want what we can't have,
Mhm.
and it's that thing. It's the FOMO. It's the, you know, whatever that is that make them choose the wrong guys every time, because they're going after this excitable person that they can't, like, you know, encumber,
Mm.
you know. So maybe it's that. But yeah, I always attribute it to that. But I don't think nice guys finish last.
Yeah, you know, when you talk about the phenomenon in relationships, it makes me think about something that we learned during COVID. Remember how the whole world went inside of their homes, and all the people that we saw, celebrities with these different shows, they had the bells and the whistles, and it's like now everybody's just on Zoom. People
Yeah.
don't have their hair cut and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And then when we kind of came back from out of that, we discovered something really important, and that is you can't connect with people if you're too polished.
Yeah.
We want things to be professional, but if you remove or edit out every hiccup,
Yeah.
if you clean up every element of flaw, every misstep, it kind of feels robotic and fake. And we don't like things that are too polished. We want something that's authentic. And I think what you're getting at with the phenomenon of relationships is sometimes being nice comes from a place of a lot of self-control.
Yeah.
What I want to be is firm. What I want to be is me. What I want to do is disagree. What I want to say is that's not funny, but I'm gonna be nice.
Yeah.
And when you allow yourself to fall into a version of being nice that's all about suppression, then you become kind of like this too polished, boring version of yourself. It's like, hey man, you don't have a backbone. You don't have any opinions of your own. You can't disagree. You can't ever introduce a little bit of tension into a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of boring. You know,
Yeah.
you're wearing this Macbeth hat. Macbeth in Compton, and you talked about the example of the person who's in love with somebody and they dream of being with them, and then they get them, and then they go, now I'm bored.
No, I'm bored.
Yeah. That reminds me, I saw the screening for Macbeth in Compton, and there's that journey in there too. It's not just relationships. It's not just men or women. It's like this universal human thing where we want something and we think, I'm going to be so happy if I get that. And then we get it, and it's like, it's not enough to satisfy that deepest longing that we have. For those who might not know about Macbeth or Macbeth in Compton, talk a little bit about that story and just that idea that's embodied in it.
Well, Macbeth himself is he is ravished by ambition, but his woman, Lady Macbeth, has even more ambition than he does, because he has the ambition of wanting something, of being noble. She is ignoble, and she has the desires that will burn down the world to attain the thing that she wants. And he doesn't have that, and she knows he doesn't have that. And so the play is basically her being the puppet master of doing what she needs to do to try and convince him, or to get him to his intelligentsia, to his place where he sees his full self, as king, as the in this sense, the CEO of the company, not just a rapper in it, but the actual top of it. Yeah. And so she helps position him to make that happen. And it's such a strange thing, because when you were saying that, I was like, what if I get my show made? What if I'm able to get Macbeth in Compton, which is a subtitle for the full title, which is Tales from the Bard, which is basically me. So what I am trying to do is I want to introduce Black people to Shakespeare by conjugating it with hip hop culture and placing it in a world that we actually care about, but using the text so that we are able to get the verbiage of the greatest writers. If I can coalesce the greatest literature that we have, which is hip hop and Shakespeare, together and agglutinate them to this wonderful infusion, then now I can, be stuck with Shakespeare, for bringing it to this new audience. Yeah. And so that is my purpose behind that. But I said that to say, like, okay, what if I achieve that? What if I'm able to get this? Because this to me is my apotheosis. This is the zenith, I feel like, of my life. If I die and I leave, I want to be left with Paige Kennedy, the person who brought us Shakespeare, where we love it. Shakespeare has been around forever, and if I can be connected to that in some way, I would love that. But what happens if I do this? Now I've done it. The natural way of life is to continue to move. If you don't move, you die. A shark can't stop. Like, you have to continue to be in motion. And so our brains is constantly like, well, what's next? What's more? I did this. Now how? What's next? And there's never an end to it. It's always going to be a what's next. You can't, Jordan won the championship. He didn't just retire. He wanted another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. It all it becomes Sisyphean at a certain point. And so when you were saying that, I thought about that, and I'm like, damn, we always are fighting for, like, what's next. And, and that's what happens with them in the story as well.
So two things. First, I've never used Sisyphean in a sentence, so I feel a little bit like, you remember when LeBron and D-Wade said they went to the, was it Paris? when they were with Kobe in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we thought we worked hard. We thought we practiced hard, but man, we saw the way this dude got down. We realized there's another level. You showed me another level. You packed about like 8 or 9 thesaurus words. And it was good. Agglutinate, was that one of them?
Yeah, agglutination, yeah.
To bring together?
Yeah, and to stick together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, man.
I actually learned that word from Salam. You know, she's a scientist, so sometimes she hits me with the scientific words, and she, you know, she knows my affinity for sesquipedalian words, and she hit me with that, and I was like, "What's that?" I'm just like word porn. Like that's our foreplay. She like tell me words, and I get horny. I'm like, "Oh my God, baby, come here, tell me more." Look me in my eyes when you say agglutination, and say it slowly.
That joke was not brought to you by today's sponsor.
What joke? Y'all ain't even gonna hear no joke because that shit gonna be edited out.
Thank you for your donation. We'll be sure to edit that. Is she your lady Macbeth?
Yeah, well, interesting. Is Salam my lady Macbeth? I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
If anything, I might be her lady Macbeth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would be her lady Macbeth.
Yeah. Connection here before we move to our last remaining card is it was nice guys finished last. Part of what's come out of that is there's this honest recognition you have of the fact that life is a dynamic process. We begin by wanting one thing, and then when we get that thing, we don't feel completion. It gives birth to a new desire.
Yeah.
And it ignites a new process. And
Yeah.
it goes on. And that can be, as you say, Sisyphean. But where I see the connection here is for you, it sounds like your faith is precisely the thing that gives you a basis for continuing to do more in a way that's meaningful. Because you say, my life isn't complete until I'm gone, and I'm here for some kind of purpose.
Yeah.
And that purpose is to make a difference, to establish a legacy that I'm proud of. And for you, that's the introducing Shakespeare and the vastness and richness of literature to people that haven't been exposed to it by merging it with the world they already know.
Yeah.
And so there's what rescues you from the Sisyphean task of just working is that element of, I'll throw a word in here, telos, is the faith gives you a sense of purpose, a sense of like metaphysical order and meaning to your work, that you do what you do with the sense that you're fulfilling a calling that you have on your life. Yeah. We got one more card left, man. One more connection card. When do you feel most connected to other people?
When I said when I'm around them.
Yeah.
You know, I think by nature I'm tigerish. I feel like by nature I'm a loner, you know? And that's changed. It's changed once my son Tim moved with me, and now he's there, and then Jace is there full time, and then Salam, and then like my families that are this internal went from, you know, they would come sometimes, you know, here and there to all the time. It kind of changed my aspect, but you know, I enjoy solitude sometimes, but is it truly solitude? Because I am still connected to everyone through my phone, right? So am I really in solitude? Because not really. I'm still connected to everyone that I want to be through my phone. But I'm doing it, like I enjoy doing it by myself. So maybe I don't have to be fully connected in person because I got so much stuff going on of people that are not there. And so I feel like for me to be fully connected to somebody, it has to be like in person, and we are having our moment together, like without with it being unimpeded by other circumstances like our devices.
Yeah. And that's becoming, although we have memes like touch grass, it's becoming harder in many ways for this generation. I have a friend who was telling me that, he was encouraging his children, hey, put these devices down and go get outside and play. And then when he saw his children go outside to play in order to obey him, he realized that he had separated them from all their friends. Their friends are on their devices, playing video games. Yeah. They're not outside.
They're not outside.
Now your kids are standing inside,
right, like
touching grass
by themselves. They don't got nobody to play with. And if some other kids did come outside, they still all would just be on their phones. We go out to eat and go out to dinner, the whole table is on their phones.
Yeah. And so part of why you value that physical proximity, like I connect with people, man, by practicing this ancient art of just being in the same room.
Yeah.
Being in a position where we can make contact, look each other in the eyes, hear each other's voices, and have something that feels human.
Yeah.
How do we reclaim more of that in a world where the devices are a part of everything and everything is mediated through screens?
For one, that's a good question. For two, I'm not saying that is necessary. I'm not saying that we need to reclaim that again. Like, I do agree with as curmudgeon as we can be at a certain age when we see things that are different now than the way it was when we grew up and how we saw it, because every generation is going to feel like their way was the way, because that was your experience. That's what you grew up. That was at a time that everything seemed right to you. And then when you get older and that thing changes and you like, Frosted Flakes didn't used to taste like that. Y'all ain't even really getting the real Frosted Flakes. Y'all honey buns don't have the white icing on it. Y'all just got the clear icing. That's not the, y'all not get, but through time, I think things do get better. That's the whole purpose of it, is that we elevate, we grow, we transmogrify to something that is, I don't know if better is the right word, but technology allows us our lives to become easier. I think that's it. Yeah. Entertainment that you would have to do outside with your friends, playing karate, flipping on dirty mattresses in vacant lots, like all of that stuff. Like now you can just play with your thumbs now and you get that same endorphins of entertainment. Like time allows things to become easier. Now you don't have to drive yourself to this interview. The car will do it for you, And so that is what is happening. Now, is that a bad thing? I don't know if it's a bad thing. I mean, I would imagine some people might find reasons to think that is bad, but then you take somebody who was born into technology, they wouldn't think that it's a bad thing, because that's all they know. That's their whole life. Like the thought of having to brush your teeth with a toothbrush and it's not automatically going for why would they want to? I don't want to go back to horse and buggy and carriage. I don't want to do that. Yeah. I don't want to go back to using the bathroom in an outhouse or having to take out my own sewage myself. I don't want to do that. Yeah. So I don't know if it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I guess it can be easy to become so attached to the status quo that you forget the things you take for granted today were once upon a time questioned or feared because of all the damage they would cause. I know that's true in the history of the automobile. They were looked at as death machines. So, cars were looked at as very frightening, very scary. The idea of artificial electricity, having electricity in your home? Like, are we going to set things on fire? When something is new, man, we get scared.
Yeah.
Even Shakespeare, that was considered like pop culture once upon a time. We look at it as like, oh, that's so sophisticated.
Yeah.
That's like elite literature. And once upon a time, it's like, y'all can't stop reading these comic books. You know, And so it can be easy to sort of, not, question things too much when it's new and not question it enough when it's current. But I'm with you, man. I think the challenge to humanity is always to figure out, how do we integrate? How do we evolve? How do we take the best of what we have and somehow maintain the best of what we've had without assuming that everything that's coming is bad and everything that we letting go of is bad. And so connection I see there with this is two things. One, when you talked about solitude, I mean, not solitude, but like physical connection being what's important to you, you were very careful to articulate that as something that this is what works for me.
Yeah.
But it's not a dogma that I hold you accountable to.
Yeah.
If you don't like that, I'm not judging you, but this is what works for me.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, when it comes to life as we know it, a lot of which is being lost, your attitude towards it is, hey, we can still hang on to what's good, but there's nothing wrong with questioning our way of life. Questions don't have to be threats. They don't have to be attacks. They can be opportunities to look at the world in a way that allows us to move forward in a manner that's even more creative and constructive.
Mm-hmm.
And those are two hallmarks for your relationship to faith, that you are one who non-dogmatically values the role of faith in your life. You say, this is the worldview, the relationship to the Creator that means something to me, but I also respect your journey and your freedom to discover what you need to discover in your own time.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you also say, I'm always open to questioning my faith. I'm open to questioning what I believe and to questioning my doubts, because I believe that when I question things, it doesn't take me away from what's good, but it moves me into a more creative, constructive relationship with it.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did this feel, man? Did this feel like as scary as it seemed going into it?
No. It didn't. I mean, we didn't even fully delve into well, I mean, I guess I explained myself of how I felt about God and how I felt about why I chose to have him, even though I disabuse the notion of religion and the Bible, and because I don't have all of the theology around all of those things, because I can't explain certain things, and because I have all of these questions, the questions of, oh, okay, so if religion is such a thing, like, so are all the other religions going to hell because they are not with yours? Are the Buddhists going to hell because they're not Christians? Are the Christians going to hell because they're not Catholic? Are the, like, I have all of these questions, and there are people who have supposed answers that are all apocryphal.
Yeah, man. So now that we've had this conversation, is there anything in these cards we have, is there anything that you would answer differently?
That I would answer differently than I have, like, or from the initial
no
7 second
from what we've discussed here? Is there anything, if you could do it all over again? Pick one. Is there any one that you would answer differently?
No, I think the questions that were asked and the answers that were derived from those questions were all cogent, and I answered them truthfully.